So one of the questions that I get asked probably more often than anything else is, how do we use this tool for B2C marketing? So as we look at the program, it is predominantly a B2B program. But of course, the majority of consumers are in that B2C space. So you've got a lot of companies, therefore, that sell B2C. How do we use this tool to help them find customers? And there's three main ways that we talk about doing this. So depending on what the product is, the most important question that we're talking about with B2C is who already has your database. So for example, and real life case study examples that we've done in the past, one of our top clients was a health juice manufacturer. So they create their own blend of juice. They call it Super Greens. They used to work with Anthony Robbins, and we're doing massive volume of this Super Green juice. But what they wanted to do was be able to ship this out. They were selling via a Shopify store, and they want to be able to ship more juice. So how do we use a B2B tool to find people who want to drink juice? So what we thought about was who already has the customer database for that particular product. And of course, with a health juice, you're talking about things like gyms or health clubs or yoga studios. So for example, if I'm looking for a yoga studio, I can come in here and I go, okay, so let's do a search for yoga studios in and around the local area. And so I'll just choose anywhere here and go, let's go Miami, because it's easy for an Australian to type 5 letters. There we go. So let's find yoga studios in Miami. Now, what we're going to find in this first one of 3 methods of finding B2C clients, what we've got here is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of yoga studios, right? And this is great. Now we can approach these guys on a commercial basis. So rather than finding Mrs. Smith who lives down the road and sending her an email and saying we'd like to buy whatever it is that we're buying, we're finding the people that already have connections with Mrs. Smith. So we can do a deal with them. Now I can go to these guys and say, hey, would you like to be able to stock this? This is what we can do. And instead of selling a bottle by bottle, we can sell pallet by pallet, box by box. We can start to get a commercial relationship going on here. So all the way when we're talking about finding customers that have already got your own audience, we've done this hundreds and hundreds of times. For example, if we're working with a landscaping company or a home services company, who's already got their clients? Local realtors, local shopping centers, local services, local schools, right? Big organizations that have a local focus that you can do a deal with. So one of the deals that we did, or one of the B2C campaigns that we did with a mortgage broking client. So our mortgage broking client is looking for customers in a specific area that are looking to finance or refinance their home, right? And so we're thinking, okay, who already has the local database? And we went after schools. So we're saying, for example, I'll just use this one as an example. If I went up here and I said, okay, find me all of the primary school in and around the area, okay? And again, I'll just keep Miami for the sake of everything. And what we taught the client to do was approach the primary schools with an offer for their market.
Call them primary schools in the U.S. That's probably why.
You call them elementaries, don't you?
Yeah.
Elementary school. All right, let's see if we can get that going on. So why would I want to talk to a school? Well, first of all, that's a local business that's going to have a lot of teachers, a lot of people in the space, right? But not only that, they've also then got their entire database is full of local school, and make a connection and then talk to them about doing a special deal for their staff. And if they wanted to put it into their newsletter, they could also put this special offer. We'll get $500 off your settlement for anybody that's in the local area. So key point number 1 is who already has my database and creating a connection there. Now, one of the things that we talk about, guys, is that creating a business-to-business connection. And again, every single person, as I say this out loud, everybody who's doing any kind of marketing needs to be aware of their own local laws and legalities. But if you have the ability to reach out to a business, it's a very different commercial agreement than reaching out to a consumer. What I mean by that is if I email Mrs. Smith down the road with my brand new, floor coverings special deal for people who live in the suburb, Mrs. Smith has every right to go, how did you get my details? This is like not actually a cool thing to do. You cannot email somebody personally and say, here I am. All kinds of laws kick in at that point. So reaching out to a consumer on that level is hard. And then there's a lot of restrictions that you got to look at there. However, reaching out, if I'm a floor covering retailer, reaching out to all of the local real estate agents, all of the local schools, all of the local gyms with a deal for their members that I can put into the newsletter, that I can reach out to. Now I can reach out to somebody who's already got a commercial agreement with Mrs. Smith and make those kind of connections. So number one, how do we use this? We ask that main question: who already has your database? And let's start to put some numbers together there for you. Number two, and again, depending on the kinds of our people search very effectively here. So one of the examples that we use here is we were working with an insurance company, and these guys were specialized in life insurance and in estate planning. So that was their model. And so we asked the question, okay, so who are you trying to reach? And their avatar was, I want high net worth individuals who are, in the later stages of their life, who are thinking about life insurance and estate planning. So, okay, cool. How do we kind of narrow that down? We use the people search specifically for that particular one. So coming up here, let's create a people search campaign, and let's look for our high net worth individuals. Okay, and we're going to base this on a role. Okay, and we can do things like this. Let's look for managing director, senior, top level roles that take some years to get into that position. And then we can also then look in nicer areas, nicer suburbs. So, in every single city, there's the rich side of the rail and the poor side of the rail. If we're starting to look at the rich side of the rail, you're going to get better results. So if I come in here and I'm just looking in Chicago, as an example, say, okay, let's head over to Chicago. A great example of the poor side and the rich side. So within Chicago, as we're looking in, we're starting to get managing director, senior managing director, executive director, okay? And we're starting to see these are the kind of the people that we might be able to then look for in a different way. Now, you get more specific. You could say managing director manufacturing, as an example. Manufacturing, if you can spell. Kyle, I can hear you chuckling even though you're muted. All right. So you can get more and more specific with the kinds of people that you're looking for, okay? So now we're starting to find, okay, so I've got Phil. He's a managing director of Lorien Engineering Solutions, all right? I can find out, is Phil the right kind of person? I can come over here and I can reach out to Phil. Managing director, looks like, the right kind of age group, etc. Hey, Phil, noticed you are the managing director of, love to have a chat to you about. All right. While I'm looking at Phil, obviously our data is enriching, and we're starting to find email addresses. We're starting to find their LinkedIn profiles. We're starting to find information about the company, and of course, we can then go into AI mode here. So we've got AI that can do an introduction right to Phil, and I'll show you how we can tweak that AI setting in just a second. But now I might have this is picked up that he works at Lorien Engineering Solutions, all right? We can actually look at how that comes together. So strategy number one is finding the main question. Who already has my clients on their databases, and how can we work together? Quick segue, and then I'll show you the third method. Number two method is thinking about the role, the people, and where they live, and being able to match what you do to your ideal client. Quick segue. One of our clients did something unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this before, where they were working with home services. And what they did was when we showed them this, who already has your client, they expanded that idea like crazy, and they built what they called pods, referral-based pods. So they would actually go city by city. They went to a city and they did like 5 or 6 different pods in a city. And each pod had a plumber, an electrician, a floor coverings, a window coverings, a roof repair, a landscape gardener in each pod. So they charged the pod members $97 a month to be a member of the pod, right? And every single time these clients got a new, Mrs. Jones needs to have her driveway repaired or whatever it might be. Every single time they sent their invoice, what this guy did was set up a coupon book from everybody else in his pod. And it gave a really great advertising metric hook to getting Mrs. Smith to come and do her driveway. Let's see what it looks like. Mrs. Smith, when you get me to do your driveway, it's going to cost you $350. But when I send you my invoice, I'm going to give you $150 off your next landscaping care package. I've got $300 off the carpets and blinds. I've got a home services cleaning voucher for $100. I've got 20% off your plumbing, 30% off your electrical, whatever. So when you do business with me, Mrs. Smith, it's going to cost you X, but I'm going to give you $1,000 worth of home services coupons in your local area with other referred and likely businesses. Great advantage to win the deal, win the quote when I want to work with Mrs. Smith. But every single time I'm sending those coupons out and feeding the other members of that pod, right? So then you can think about that from creating these kind of synergistic relationships in any environment. I'm a gym. I might run a local gym. I could create that same pod effect with a mortgage broker, a realtor, a local mechanic, all right? And I can create these referral pods. So this client with us, I couldn't believe it. What they created was insane. They had like 400 pods in under a year. They were charging $97 a month for each member to be part of the pod. They were using the lead generation to drop leads into the pod and feed the circle. And so they were having a paid membership to the pod, and each person in that pod was then referring local business between each other by using that coupon system, which I thought was brilliant. But again, doing that in any environment, you might have a local motor car automotive dealership, and they do a deal with a gym, a realtor, a finance broker, curtains and blinds and floor coverings, whatever it might be, so that everybody in that business space is benefiting. I thought was really super cool. So number one, who's already got my database? How can I build better relationships with them? Number two, using the people search. And number three, really getting detailed. And again, best to tell this with the case study story. One of our mortgage broking clients in Chicago was struggling to find her avatar. When we asked her, who's your ideal client? She said, everyone with a pulse, anybody that's got a home. And we're like, it's hard to nail that down. So we changed the question to, who was the last person that you wrote a mortgage for? Who was the last person that you wrote a mortgage for? And she said, oh, there was a nurse at the local hospital. We're like, oh, do nurses make good clients? And she said, yeah, they're, stable job, good salaries, dependable. They're great clients. And I was like, okay, great. If we could get you more nurses, would that be beneficial to your business? So method number three is to really pinpoint individual organizations. So let me show you what I mean. Let's come over here, and we're going to create, in this case, a single search campaign, and I'm going to go for hospitals. Right? So with our friend, she was in Chicago, and I cannot for the life of me the name escapes me. Chicago Hospital. It'll jump to my eyes, I'm sure. All right, where are we? Hospitals in Chicago. The one that we actually did. I'm looking for it. John something. John. There it is, John Stroger. Beautiful. So this was the actual hospital that we were working with. So I took this URL and we pop it into our leads program, and we do a search for that one website, and we go bang. And within a few seconds, we start to get everybody that works at John Stroger Health, okay? And now what we can do is, and what we set up with our client was with their client's permission, we send a targeted campaign out to her colleagues saying, hey, just like we did for Susan, because you work at John Stroger Hospital, we'd love to offer you to save an extra $500 a month off your mortgage if you qualify. Only because you work at the hospital, we've got the approval already done for Susan, and we'd love to see if we can also save you some money off your mortgage. So there we're able to really pinpoint a specific company that has a big employee following and able to do that. Okay, so our three strategies for B2C. Number one is the most effective by far and away, and that is creating commercial relationships with people who already have your database. Number two, use the people search to really target the employee kind of level that you're looking for. And number three, if you've got those big organizations that the employees of those organizations are your ideal client, then you can use the single search to dive right into that.